I will be discussing resumes and cover letters with you. It is important to remember that your resume communicates your knowledge, skills, and values and can get you the interview. However, it does not get you the job. You will be required to communicate that. If you are unsure how to do that, feel free to contact us for assistance with interview preparation and/or a mock interview. Some common resume mistakes are typos, using words inappropriately, not conveying job roles appropriately. So, for example, it is highly unlikely that if you were a cashier that you supervised 50 employees and completed their payroll. If you did, we should talk to your current or previous store manager because you need or needed a change in your job title. Essentially, this just means do not try to impress them by making it appear you did more than what you actually did, which leads to do not get too creative. You want to exhibit professionalism. Style and format. Font size is almost always 10 to 12. Margins 0.5 to 1 inch. And well-known, most utilized fonts are Times New Roman, Calibri, and Arial. It is important that it is well organized, attractive, and easy to read. If you find a font that you feel is easy to read, ask us and/or faculty and staff from your major for their thoughts on it. Please remember consistent formatting. For example, if you underline and bold one header, such as education, ensure that you underline and bold the other headers, such as work experience. Style and format tips continued. Paper color should be white, ivory, or light gray. We have resume paper you can print it on in our office, located in Massey 124, so just stop by during our operation hours and we will be glad to assist. There are several types of resume styles. However, we almost always use chronological in our office. This style is great for current students, recent graduates, as well as those who have had continuous employment in their field. It puts your experience in reverse order, which allows for your most recent and relevant experience to be viewed first. The essential information, such as title, company, location, dates of employment, achievement, and skills, are all conveniently located, and this format allows the employers to easily determine the work you completed. At the top of your resume should be your contact information. The minimal and required contact information is your full name, first and last. However, middle or middle initial can be added if desired. Your email address, your phone number, and city, state, and zip code. I cannot emphasize enough to please use a professional email. Once I had a student use ilovejustinbieber@yahoo.com. I told her I thought it was nice that she loved him enough to create that email, but not everyone who she communicates with through that email may feel the same way about Mr. Bieber. So, if you need us to help you create a professional email, we can do that too. Some optional information is your full address, as well as an additional phone number and a URL address. Objectives are completely optional. Often, I find they are no longer used because what is typically said in one is covered in the cover letter. However, if you would like to use one, they have the position-based objective, which has the position you are seeking. I have told individuals before to consider having that by or under your name or even your credentials to remove the header and space needed to say objective and the title of the position. The other option is industry-based objective. This includes what you are wanting to obtain, the field, if there is a specialty area, and often individuals will elaborate on what makes them interested and/or qualified. However, once again, this is usually identified in the cover letter. Headings. Some suggestions are listed below. Some may apply more so to particular majors. For example, Laboratory skills would be more relevant for a student in our medical laboratory technology program versus a student pursuing an English and humanities generalist degree. The same goes for licenses and certifications. Many of the allied health students obtain a license and/or certifications they would want to list. However, other students may not be able to obtain either of those in their major. Most students will always have education, internships and/or projects, work experience, and campus involvement. Often, students who lack internships, projects, work experiences, and/or campus involvement may utilize their academic coursework and list courses that are relevant to the position of interest that they're applying to. Additionally, avoid saying references available upon request. Just make it easy for them and go ahead and provide those. This is what we call the skills statements cheat sheet. These are what you list under your internships, projects, and/or experience, why you did it, how you did it, who was involved, and the results of the action. There are samples under each of those. Ask yourself, would you be more likely to interview someone who says they answered telephone calls or someone who says they directed up to 40 customer calls per hour to the appropriate service departments throughout the company? Here's an example. This bartender mixes drinks, stocks the bar, orders supplies, and closes the bar. So what's wrong with this? Well, what happens whenever another bartender applies and uses this? They have the entire time they have been employed on their right. They have their specific titles and the dates they were employed as that listed. Then they give us the quantities, 300 customers during a 4-hour period of time, as well as hiring, training, and supervising a staff of 6. In-depth details on the why, how, and the results. Again, let me ask, who would you feel more inclined to bring into an interview? Here's a sample resume I helped Sean E. Bear complete. Sean has his name big and noticeable at the top and the minimum required contact information below that, as well as one of the optional information pieces, which was a URL in which Mr. Bear provided his LinkedIn account. He kept the formatting consistent, with all headers being bold and underlined. He also decided to bold important places listed throughout his resume and italicized all of his positions. I think it was smart to set off his degree with italics and underline the part of the degree that is relevant for the positions he is applying to. Mr. Bear remembered his certifications and the dates for when he received those, as well as the dates for when those expire. Instead of listing the same or similar actions for each clinical experience, Mr. Bear opted to summarize his main duties for all of those. Furthermore, Mr. Bear gave great detail when listing his task under both clinical experiences and work experiences, following our tips for why, how, who, and the results. Additionally, he provided the full name of the places followed by their abbreviations. So, when he referenced them later for other areas, he was able to use the abbreviation instead of the full name. Very smart, Mr. Bear, if I do say so myself. It is important to remember that this is a sample. Use it as a guide, but do not make it look identical. We do want students to have the essential information, neat and consistent formatting. However, we do not want the exact same resume and cover letter as your classmates who may be applying to the same positions. So, for example, one of you might bold headers while the other might italicize. Be unique and be professional. Here's a sample reference page. Sean did a great job having his contact information at the top again. This makes it easy to know this is Sean's if it's printed out. He did a great job keeping the format consistent, maintaining the bold and underlined header, as well as italicizing the references' job titles and bolded their places of employment. He provided the essential information for each reference, which included their name, title, place of employment, phone, and email. Since he has 2 references that come from his experience at Shawnee State, I would recommend for Sean to have someone from his clinical sites or someone from one of his previous work experiences. How do you increase effectiveness? Well, do your best to maintain 100% error-free. I emphasize my recommendation to let someone else look at it. It is always good to have a second set of eyes to analyze. I would choose someone who will provide you with honest and helpful feedback, such as our office or faculty, staff from your major. Your resume will most likely not be a one-size-fits-all for every position you apply to, so make sure you customize it to fit the position and employer you are applying to. You want your most relevant information first. Avoid promoting negative bias and use abbreviations only if standard and well known. So, if you apply out of state, for example, do not assume everyone will know that SOMC is Southern Ohio Medical Center. Keep it to 1 page unless you have a lot of relevant experience, because employers tend to quickly view resumes and cover letters, so it is important to have the most relevant information and leave off anything that does not have a purpose. Cover letters still matter. Their purpose is to express your intent, interest, and enthusiasm for the position, complement and emphasize highlights of your resume, as well as demonstrate your personality and writing ability. Sometimes I've heard people refer to cover letters like a hamburger, the first paragraph being the top bun, where you want to state the position you are applying for and how you found out about the organization and/or position. This is where you also express why you are attracted to this position and the organization, and also arouse the reader's interest to read more about your qualifications. The second paragraph is the meat of your hamburger. You give details about your qualifications and how they fit to the position's responsibilities. I highly recommend using words from the job description to make a connection between the employer's needs and your skills. It is important to include information about academics, job experience, and/or personal attributes that are relevant. The third paragraph is a short summarization of your qualification, often refers your reader to your resume, and mentions interest in an interview. I may be biased, however, I believe Sean did a great job on his cover letter. He utilized the same contact information format that he did for his resume and reference page. He provided the date he completed the letter, as well as the employer's name and address. Then provided an appropriate greeting with "Dear Mr. Watts," so please ensure you use preferred titles. You may need to ask them. If uncertain, it is safe to use the place of employment plus one of the following. For example, SOMC Hiring Committee, or Search Committee, or even Human Resources. Mr. Bear followed all of the tips we provided for each paragraph. He also included the necessary and a proper closure, such as sincerely, his signature, and then returned to the original text to put his name under his signature. If you do not have an electronic signature, consider using a cursive font. You made it! I know, that was a lot of information, but all of it was essential. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. This final slide provides some of the other services that we provide, our contact information, office hours and location, website, and reminds you to follow us on several social media platforms. Remember, we are here to help you, and we are one of the many campus resources that care about your success. So please, do not hesitate to contact us with questions, comments, or concerns, and we look forward to hearing from you.